Develop a habit of not entertaining specific notions or specific premises, because this is another example of an external source of influence trying to convince you of something to head your energy in that direction. Just because you see something on YouTube or you hear somebody doing something, if it doesn't feel right for you, then reject it. Get into the habit of developing a serious aversion to anything that doesn't feel right or normal or natural to you, because it is your intuition telling you this is not for us. When you were younger, you heard that little voice telling you, get out of here. This is no good. Stay away from that person. This is a bad situation. But you didn't listen, and you learned the hard way. Well, that little voice was your angels. Your angels speak through the conduit of your intuitive senses. And the darkness, of course, is telling you, go head first right into that danger. Go for it. You know? With no religious connotation being applied, we are given two choices in this life. You can either run with the devil in the darkness or walk with Jesus Christ in the light. Again, no religious connotation. I'm just using those two figures as an example. But get into the habit of heightening your senses of awareness that if something feels wrong, do not proceed. Just because somebody else is saying, hey, I just decided to drop everything and go live in my car, and it's working perfectly for me. Hey, if that is your journey and that's what you want to do, and if it works for you and it feels natural and comfortable and normal, go for it. I wish you all the best. But this is not a one-size-fits-all. It never has been and it never will be. The videos I watch on YouTube, I see all kinds of mixed messages. I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like, okay, I see it as a buffet table. I come to the table, I see what I like, and I take what I like. And what I don't like, I just leave there. Absorb what is useful, discard the rest. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that particular type of subject or opinion or belief or philosophy or ideology. It's just not a right fit for me. And I'm not going to embrace it. I'm not going to adopt it. I'm going to consciously say, no, thank you. And I'm going to reject it and walk away. So do not entertain a notion or a premise or an idea that it's going to work for you if it feels unnatural, unsafe, and irregular, if it feels wrong. Because your angels are telling you, this isn't for you. Because don't forget, the darkness always disguises itself as the light. It's always going to pose as some sort of high vibrational angelic figure, mixing those messages in your mind, saying, yeah, this is a good thing, go for it, don't worry, it worked out for him, it'll work out for you, don't worry about it. Then you get to where you got to go and then you're homeless and you can't find work. And it doesn't work out. But wait, my angels told me this would work out. I don't understand what happened. Well, because those weren't your angels. Those were something else. Those cartoons from when we were a kid, that an angel on one shoulder and a devil on another? Well, that's basically what's going on. I mean, to put it just in its rudimentary, rudimentary state, really, that's basically what's going on here. If you notice why the physical mind has two hemispheres, I mean, you can clearly see. I said it before in another video. If you look at the yin-yang symbol, they're telling you what they've done to the mind. Two diametrically opposed energies contained within the same circumference of eternal life, hence the human condition. Diametric opposites, polarized opposites, polar mentality, which you get duality, one or the other. There's no gray in the yin-yang symbol. It's that way for a reason. So you have to be able to differentiate what feels right for you and what feels natural and normal and what works and what makes you feel comfortable. And embrace that. Don't just watch a video somebody put up on YouTube and go, well, if they did it, I could do it too. Because you're going to be putting yourself into a world of hurt, man. Sometimes logic, pragmatism, and prudence win out over your compassion, your feelings, and emotions. Sometimes in life, the compassion of the heart will blind you to the reality of what's going on. So that's why I said in a previous video, you have to learn the skillful art of how to turn your feelings and emotions off when they're not needed and when to turn them on when they are. Because sometimes you have to turn them off and they have to turn on the prudence, the pragmatism, and the logic, the analytical mind, the figurative mind, not the overthinking mind. Because the heart, more often than not, in certain situations and circumstances, can get you to serious freaking trouble. I've been there myself too many times. Too many times. So I'm speaking straight out of the experience, box, no doubt. If this video can help you in any way, if you've got any kind of suspicions or curiosities or doubts, or maybe there's a little uncertainty that you've been debating something or contemplating something or pondering something, maybe something of a very risky nature, if it feels wrong, dude, man, that's a no-go. I'm not saying play it safe. I'm just saying be freaking smart. Because if you pack up and go to a place and you blow out your money, and when you get there, you have no place to stay, is that smart? That's insane. Or whatever type of plan you might have. Always have a backup, and then a backup to that backup. Just in case plan A falls, you got B, then C, then D. You go right down, man. It's called contingencies, man. They have them in the military for a reason, especially in the jet fighters. If one system fails, they got another, and they'll be okay. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket and just go for it. Yeah, I just trust the universe. I'm going to go for it. That's not a good place to be. Because, understand one thing. You live in a very chaotic and frenetic world that you're not the only soul in, because you're not responsible for the energies around you. So you don't know what can happen because of the elements of unpredictability, chaos, frenetic energy, instability, man. These things they're unstable. You don't know what's going to happen. You plan these things. You plot them in your head. Say, yeah, okay, it's going to be this, I'm going to do that, and then I'll do this, and I got gas and tolls, and we'll get there, and it'll be this and that. And then when you get there, reality slams you in the face like a baseball bat. It doesn't go the way you plan sometimes. Unfortunately, that's the downside of what you call an imagination. What you put in your imagination, which is your sacred space, is a reality in the metaphysical. But the fact is that it has to pass through all of this energy that isn't just yours. You have a system that's corrupt, governments and corporations, all kinds of fraud, greed, crime, deception. This underhanded system that they have that favors the few at the sacrifice of the many, and everything else. That energy has to pass through all that stuff. So you could have a plan in your imagination that says it's going to work out perfectly when I get there. And then when you get there, it doesn't seem to be working out at all. It isn't anything you did. It's just that your energy is now getting gobbled up into all of that crazy frenetic chaos. So you got to make contingencies, man. You can't just say, all right, this is the only plan we have and we're going to go for it. If it feels wrong, listen to your intuition. Your angels are telling you, no. Or perhaps what you're thinking of will work, but not at this time. Later on down the road, when things are aligned properly, vibrationally speaking, or perhaps in your situation, financially speaking, or emotionally speaking, or mentally speaking, or whatever the case may be in your situation, I don't know. But the truth is, if it feels wrong, like I said before, energy never lies. It isn't just for human beings. If you get a bad vibe off with somebody, you always go with that. That is that's a precursor right there to what's to come. Straight truth. I don't care how good they look, how rich they are, how smooth they're talking, how urbane and polished they are. That don't mean nothing, man. You go by the energy and you go by the actions, because that's the truth. The image, the superficial cursory image, that's garbage. That don't mean nothing. How pretty somebody is on the outside, let me tell you something. Some of the most attractive people on the outside have some of the ugliest souls and the coldest hearts in the world. Look at Hollywood. That's straight truth. In closing, I just want to say, I'm not saying to you play it safe and stay in your cubby hole, because you got to get out there. You don't have to take risks. You just have to make moves. You have to reword these things. You don't take chances. You make choices. You don't have to ever sacrifice anything, but you compromise and be committed to that compromise. But, plan these things out. In case this doesn't work, I'm prepared for this, and I'm prepared for this. You're not anticipating a disastrous outcome, but you are prepared for anything that life may throw your way. That is being prudent, pragmatic, and logical. And in some instances, the physical mind does win out above these things, especially over the heart, when it comes to matters of money. That's where the balance comes into play. That's why they say you're either in your head or in your heart. Well, you have to balance. What is this situation dictating to me to allow me to understand where I should put my trust and my faith and my energy right now, in my head or my heart? Because the soul is just going to sit back and watch this play itself out. If you make the wrong decision, you're going to pay the consequences of being homeless and destitute, impoverished, probably starving. It happens to everybody. They have plans. I'm going to go out to Hollywood, be a big movie star, this and this and that, and they wind up homeless. The streets are littered with these broken dreams and these broken promises because they didn't think things through properly. What if such and such? What if this or that? What if this might happen? They just go with this dream they have, and off they go. No thought whatsoever. Nothing. What they say is no forethought. Nothing. It's not thought out in advance. It's just boom, acting on impulse and instinct. And that's not smart, because that'll get you into some serious trouble. When it comes to matters of finance and living conditions, you need to think things through. Because if you get to where you got to go and you have no money and no place to stay, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And the way things are nowadays, there aren't too many people that can take you in indefinitely until you get on your feet, unless that's family you're talking about. You can only inconvenience family with a disposition that size. That's straight truth. I mean, they got to be close family for that, to have you, live with them for 6 months until you get back on your feet or whatever it is. But if you get out to where you've never been and you have no money left and no place to go, do you think that's smart? I mean, if you're like 24 years old and you don't care, hey man, go for it. You know what I mean? And it's your life, live it. Nobody could tell you what you could do, what you can't do. But if you're up there in age like I am, no bueno, not at all. Think things through. Prepare for every type of contingency, every type of scenario, every type of situation, circumstance that may come your way. Be financially ready and secure, and have backups, man. Contingencies, that's what it's all about. Because if the day comes where you think your plan's working and something just slams right in your face out of nowhere, what are you going to do if you're not prepared? If you didn't think this through, you didn't even logically contemplate this situation or even anticipate this happening. It's good to be prepared, and you're not living in fear, anticipating the worst. But what I'm referring to is having things when you don't need them. It's better than not having something when you need it. And that's a big difference. That doesn't just come with money. That comes with common sense, logic, inductive and deductive reasoning, intelligence. Sometimes people just act on a whim and off they go, and they pay for it dearly. Sometimes they don't come back. Sometimes their lives are taken by strangers that pick them up off the street. Happens all the time. Think it through, man. Come at it from a myriad of angles and always incorporate as many contingencies as possible. Because if something happens to your main plan, you got a backup and then a backup to that. And you can keep falling back on an infinite amount of backups until you're okay. Life isn't going to go the way you have planned it inside your mind, inside your imagination, which is actually your sacred space. For a reason, because you're not the only soul out here. There's a lot of people out here that are out of their mind. There's an old saying in the Middle East that God must love crazy people because God makes a lot of them. And there's a lot of crazy people in this world. and you're not responsible for what they could do if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, even though your plans are going trucking along just nicely, and all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, a tragedy occurs, and unfortunately, you're the recipient or the victim. These things aren't planned; they happen because people are out of their mind. Think it through, plan it logically. Prudence, pragmatism. Ever the pragmatist to yield a literal mind. Think about that, won't you? God bless. Enjoy your journey.